Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. A friendly reminder that this mailbag was filmed December 4th before we went live for Cowboys and Lions. And if you don't see your question up here, it's because you don't join us for Thursday Night Football. But all of these questions here are from our loyal subscribers, and we're going to be going live this Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to be battling our Broncos channel. Again, we're probably not going to win on the field, but if you hate a Donkey fan, if you hate Denver, at least help us win here at the Raiders Report, because we're going to be doing a super chat and sub battle up against our Broncos channel. I will not lose to them. Cannot lose to them. Will not lose to them. First question coming in here. Do you think Detroit will pay up for Maxx Crosby in 2026? I do not think so, and I only say that because it's going to require 3 first-round picks, and that's the starting asking price. I know Max has been frustrated with how this season has gone. I also know Max is questionable because he did not practice on Thursday after practicing on Wednesday, which I do find to be a little bit interesting. You'd have to cut off that guy's leg for him not to play in a football game. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to keep going with my source around Max, and it is Max wants to be a Raider for life. And I'm just going to say that he's going to be a Raider for life. Let's go to another one coming in here, and I don't even think that this person's got a... Oh, it's Tom. What up, Tom? If you had to guess who Brady wants to hire next year, who do you think it is? I'm just going to go with the name that I've heard the most of in terms of the people that I talk to inside of that Raiders organization. The number one name that I hear being brought up is Jesse Minter. And it could just be a simple fact of Minter, Michigan guy, has the ties, working with John Harbaugh right now. Spytek and Tom Brady are both Michigan guys themselves. But I actually think what's going to hurt the Raiders is the Michigan job itself. I think if Michigan University offered Minter to be the next head football coach of that program, as much as I hate to admit, I think that that's a better job than the Las Vegas Raiders job. That organization, that university is going to end up paying him more money. But if I was a betting man right now, again, just based on the information that is being fed to me, I would say Brady's number one guy is Jesse Minter. But hey, I want to know from all of y'all, who do you want the Raiders to hire as their next head coach? I did put out a video early, probably about 2 weeks ago, about the top Pete Carroll replacements. So if you want to see a video with offensive-minded guys, defensive-minded guys, please go check it out. Please let me know, though, down below, because you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, tell me who you want the Raiders to hire as their next head coach. Let's go to Isaac. What up, Isaac? In the last decade or so, best defensive year and best offensive year, if we had both at the same time, how far would we go? I think the hardest question or hardest part about this question is I'm going to say who's the quarterback. I am a big-time believer that if you don't have the right quarterback in the playoffs, it's really hard to win football games, because I've also seen teams that aren't really all that great. Look at Tom Brady just a few years ago with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were the wild card team. They went out. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. But I also think the playoffs are a lot about those big-time situations. And, we kind of got into it with somebody the other day here at the Chat Sports office. They were like, I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because that team stinks. I said, if you're not worried about Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, with all due respect, you don't know ball. And we sometimes, I think, overthink sometimes playoff matchups. But if we had the best offensive year, 2016 Derek Carr, give me any type of defense. And I think that that's a team that's going to win a lot of games, because 2016 Derek Carr, MVP caliber quarterback. You got an MVP caliber quarterback, you're going to win a lot of football games, even if your team's bad. Look at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, from a roster standpoint, might have a bottom 5 roster, but they got Josh Allen, so they're in the hunt. Let's go to 403 Prado. I want a culture guy at head coach next. I think we need a real leader in the building. I want a Vrabel or Dan Campbell kind of guy. Then we get the best X's and O's guys available at OC and DC. Thoughts? I guess then that you probably would love the idea of Mike Tomlin. And I hear you loud and clear. I'm not saying that I disagree with this thought process. I do think that we have to, again, talk to our front office. You got to talk to John Spytek, and you got to come up with a plan. What is the plan of this Raiders team? Are we going to be a team that's going to really try to build around Ashton Genty and that offensive line? Well, then maybe it makes sense to go out and get an offensive-minded head coach. But to me, if you like these types of leaders, I would say Mike Tomlin is someone to keep in mind. I would say somebody along the lines of Mike McCarthy is someone to keep in mind. And I'll say this guy because I have the utmost respect for Robert Saleh. And I know Robert Saleh didn't do the best job in New York, but I could also say it could just be the New York Jets. Robert Saleh reminds me a little bit of Dan Quinn, where Dan Quinn was not a great fit in Atlanta, went to be a DC, back in the Cowboys. Now he's doing a much better job in Washington. I know they're not doing as great this year, but Jaden Daniels has been hurt and they've had a lot of injuries. So to me, if you like that philosophy, those three names that I just threw out at you, I think are good names overall. Now, the Raiders got a tough matchup. They're going up against the AFC West rival Denver Broncos, and I am in a mental pretzel when it comes to this game. Am I the only one that, I'm like, it's always FDEN, right? Like, F the Broncos, F the Donkeys, F Sam, type it down below for me. But I'm also like, it's not that I want the Raiders to lose to the Broncos, and it's not like I want the Broncos to beat the Raiders, but I also don't want the Raiders to not have a top pick overall in the draft. Like, if you lose the remainder of your games, you are going to have the number 2 overall pick at absolute worst. And I think, the reason why Mike Vrabel didn't take this job, the reason why Ben Johnson didn't take this job is because they didn't have an answer at quarterback, right? Mike Vrabel, Drake May, Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson. My biggest fear is we win a meaningless game, and I get it. You knock out Denver from potentially having the number 1 overall seed. But at the same time, I want good coaches. And if we have a top 2 pick, if we have the number 1 overall pick, you're going to get a coach that wants to come here. We got the salary cap space. We got draft picks. And if they get to pick their quarterback, for anybody out there that's like, oh, you can't keep firing guys one and done. If I'm a coach and I go out and take my quarterback number 1 overall, your job is safe for at least 3 years. It's just a fact. So again, mental pretzel this week, and I know I'm not the only one. If you're in a mental pretzel for this game, hit that like button. Let's go to Jay Ray. Why didn't Geno Smith get suspended for the same conduct detrimental to the team and varsity basketball head coaches help out Wood? Unfortunately, Jay Ray, I don't have the answer for you there because, again, this organization has showed me this year that they care more about Geno Smith than they do the Las Vegas Raiders. And you could say that I'm crazy for saying that, but they show it on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And if you would have just suspended Geno Smith for 1 game, conduct detrimental to the team, that would have saved money because then you wouldn't have had to pay Geno Smith. But this is going to be a team that when you allow certain people to get away with certain things, other people think that they can get away with certain things as well. And it's funny because I've had a lot of conversations with some beat reporters here over the past few weeks, and they keep telling me, hey, we're asking the tough questions. With all due respect, you're not asking the tough questions, and I think it comes from the top down. Raiders PR is being really, really critical on the Raiders reporters. They're being very, very critical on a lot of the players and things that are happening, but I think it's because of how bad this season has been. From what I've been told, the people at the top, Mark Davis, want to keep this year as positive humanly possible. And if you suspend your quarterback, then you don't end up doing that. But again, if you allow your kid to throw temper tantrums in a grocery store, he's going to keep throwing temper tantrums in the grocery store. Should have just patted him on the butt, sat him in the corner, put him in timeout a little bit, grounded him. I think he would learn a lot more. Unfortunately, though, it's why they paid Geno Smith the big bucks. Now, if you got the big bucks and you want to win some even bigger bucks, get $50 when you play $5 with our sponsor, PrizePicks. And download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You can also follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app. Copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, me, someone whose picks you like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. My lineup that I got going on here for Raiders Broncos, I'm rooting against Geno. And I'm rooting against Bo Nix. And I'm taking a lot of less on Bo for the simple fact of the Raiders play more zone coverage than any team in the NFL, 84%. It's 5% more than the next closest. Bo Nix is the worst quarterback in the NFL, and it's not close against zone coverage. So guess what? I got a lot of interesting picks up there. $5 to pay $25. It's a 5-pick flex play. Whether you want to go flex play, whether you want to go power play, it's the versatility that PrizePicks offers you that I love. The other reason why I would go get started with PrizePicks this weekend, look at all the great college games. I mean, the SEC title game, Ohio State against Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. If you plan on watching football this weekend, then go get started with PrizePicks, because on PrizePicks, it's good to be right, and that link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's program. Let's go to John Rodriguez. I want Tomlin. Tomlin is the top 32 coach on this planet. And if he's available, I think you have to at least consider it, but you better at least interview him. And I'm not just saying that for the Rooney Rule. Again, I roll my eyes sometimes when I hear the Rooney Rule, but like Mike Tomlin is absolutely somebody that you bring into this room and you give him an interview, because he deserves an interview. Let's go to Josh. As much as I want to agree with you on us having a top 2 pick, I can see us doing some dumb shit like winning 2 more games and dropping down in the draft. Here's the thing, though, right? Like, doing some dumb shit. We haven't then apparently been able to do any dumb shit all year. And I know, like, it's what the Raiders have done in the past, but, like, you got to be good to win games. And like the years in the past, like last year, we beat a really bad Jags team and we beat a really bad Saints team. The Broncos are 10-2. The Broncos, the Eagles, the Texans, the Chiefs, those are 4 teams right there that are fighting for playoff spots. You're not beating any of those 4 teams. The only team you got a shot to beat is Week 17 up against the New York Giants. And I think that Giants organization has a lot more to play for than what we do. They got a young quarterback. They're trying to figure out, they're going to keep that GM. That team's going to be trying to win football games. And I know the Giants also have only 2 wins, but if you've watched the Giants this season compared to the Raiders, and if you've watched the Raiders recently, the Raiders are the worst team in the National Football League. Again, we're getting blown out week after week. We've lost 5 games this year by 17-plus points. 7 games this season by 10-plus points. Like, I hear what you're saying, but we also have to be good to win those games. And we're so far away from being good. We're an FCS team playing in the FBS. It's not even close. Santiago, it's always just win, but we don't have that mindset with this team. We need to fix both sides of the line and get a competent head coach and a young quarterback. And I know it's always just win. And again, I think like that's the hardest part about being a Raiders fan right now. It's because I want to get rid of Pete Carroll. I want to get rid of Geno Smith. I want to get rid of, all the bad shit that's wrong with this team. And unfortunately, if we lose, that helps us out. And if the Raiders beat Denver, I want to be very clear. I'm going to be excited about it in the moment. But I feel like I'm going to wake up the next morning and kind of regret it a little bit. I would love to be able to beat the Broncos, but if you told me, hey, Mitch, the Raiders lose to Denver on Sunday, you can call me a fake fan. You could call me anything you want. I'm just so done with this season that in my mind, if I think it helps us get a better head coach, helps us get a better quarterback, if it helps us at all moving forward, I care more about forward than I do 2025. I'll tell you that right now. Let's go to my brother from another mother. Nah, man, I like Chris Shula as the first-time head coach, but all the young coordinators, we should also not leave their names to switch laterally, i.e. Kubiak. Thoughts? I think if you give a young head coach the job, you got to make sure that he's just doing his head coaching job. Like, I don't want to give somebody too much power. I don't want to give somebody, too much. Again, I don't want to give somebody too much power. Like, you let John Spytek do his thing. In terms of leave their teams to switch laterally, like, Kubiak would get the head coaching job. Chris Shula would get a head coaching job. Like, a lateral move would be somebody like Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator for the Rams. Like, I don't think that he's going to be qualified maybe to be the head coach you want because he doesn't call plays, but he's also not going to be the offensive coordinator here for this team. I like Chris Shula, and I don't know if I answer your question to the best of my ability. I think I did. Let's go to Darth Raider. Do you think the Raiders will use Geno's injury as an excuse, and if he can't play, who starts at quarterback? Obviously, they're going to use it as an excuse. Like, if Geno Smith struggles, when Geno Smith struggles, Also, Geno Smith, if he throws one more interception, Geno Smith will set a new Raiders record for the most interceptions thrown in a season at home in Raiders history. Let's think about that. He's got 10 at home this year. And that's because Geno is, I've already been told, Geno's scared to play at Allegiant Stadium. Geno will never admit it, but I've been told by, I'm telling you right now, Geno Smith is afraid to play at Allegiant Stadium, and it's because he hears the boo birds and he hears how frustrated we are from top to bottom. But, of course, they're going to use that as an excuse. He's been limited all week. He got stepped on, or he just did his best trust fall impression against the Chargers this past week. But if he can't start, I'd like to be able to say it better be Aiden O'Connell, but he's also been the emergency quarterback. Like, I think that they would probably start Kenny Pickett just to piss us off, because that's what this team loves to do, loves to piss us off. Some random college football news. Iowa State's Matt Campbell has emerged as the focus of Penn State's head coaching search. If you're a Penn State guy, I know we are. I am. That'd be pretty freaking wild, man. Let's go to Justin. Quarterback or offensive line draft priority? It really just comes down to where you're going to be picking. If you got an opportunity to go get Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore, I'm just at the point where you got to take them. Like, if you can get Mendoza or Moore, I'm taking one of those two guys. Like, I just am. Offensive line obviously has to be a priority, no doubt about it. But, like, if you know that you have a 1 and a 2 pick, right? If I'm the Raiders, I go, all right, if I have a top 2 pick, I'm going to take that quarterback. We already have Ashton Genty at running back. A good organization would go, well, you know what? I don't know what that offensive line is going to look like in the draft, and I'm going to try to pick some other pieces around. I would say go spend a lot of money on the offensive line and free agency then. And that, again, like, it's kind of hard to say what this team's going to be able to do because we don't know what the pick is yet. But if you have 1 or 2, I'm taking Mendoza or Moore at 1 and 2, unless somebody gives me an unbelievable offer to trade back. But I'm then going to look at the offensive line and free agency. I mean, again, that's how I would do it. Now, man, salute to the nation's hero, Hug D's, exposing Geno for his punk ass. Yeah, again, dude, shout out to you, Hug. I know that you got the warning, but, you know, again, like, to me, somebody shouldn't be able to ruffle the feathers of somebody making $66 million that easily. Do you see more snaps for Darian Porter, Besh, and Caleb at guard? Also, hear of JPJ's availability and when? I mean, I'll say this. If Maxx Crosby does not play this week because of that knee injury, if you're the Raiders, just shut down JPJ. Just shut down Max. Just shut down Colton. There's no reason to try to put those guys at risk for a meaningless season. We will see more of Jack Besh. I guarantee that. And we already saw that uptick a little bit this past week. Besh, I believe, outsnapped Dante Thornton 27-14, if my memory is correct. And for Darian Porter, I want to see him get more work. But Kai Blue Kelly did make a really nice play in the end zone, and that's probably the only play that Pete Carroll even gives a shit about. Aaron, do you want the Raiders to beat the Broncos? Honest answer, I don't know. You know, like, I bet you on that game day, if the Raiders were kicking the shit out of Denver, I'm going to enjoy every second of it. But also at the same time, like, I am so sick of this season that whether they win, whether they lose, I'm really not going to care. But I do think, like, them winning is going to be like, you know, you made a mistake and you wake up the next morning and you regret it. My heart tells me that I want the Raiders to win. My head tells me I want the Raiders to lose. And that's just the God-honest truth. And I hate that it's even at that point, because I actually think the Denver Broncos are the team in the AFC West that I can't stand the most outside of Kansas City. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. So you let me know. Do you want the Raiders to beat the Broncos? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Because I truly have no idea. Bronson, taking the Cowgirls tonight for the W, Mitch. Who we drafted at number 2? Mendoza, O-line, edge, or rushers? The mailbag done? All right, last one. Fair. Again, man, if it's up to me, I'm going Mendoza. And we need a new quarterback. I think good head coaches, especially recency, will take the job because they have a young quarterback that they believe in. And I know Brady likes Mendoza a lot. I'm just telling you right now, he's a big Mendoza guy. Not saying he's not a Moore guy, but I'm a Mendoza guy as well. And if I have the opportunity to take a quarterback, I'm just going to take quarterback, and that's just the way that it's going to go because I think that that's going to attract more people, more coaches, more staff members to get this team on track. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, we haven't been able to hire the right guy. You haven't been able to hire the right guy because you haven't had a quarterback that really attracts a good coach. And that's a bold, hard fact, whether we like to admit it or not. Now, reminder to all y'all, I am available on IG and on Twitter at MitchellRentz365. And one of the things that YouTube has had is they have like their YouTube highlights. So if you guys want to tag me on IG or on Twitter to show that I'm one of your top most viewed YouTube channels out there, I've been sharing them left and right. My only ask is, if you're going to tag me with somebody that either A, I don't love, or like B, I don't rock with, I won't reshare it. If you just share like, it's just me, I will reshare it every time. And I've been doing it every time I see it, I will do it. Shout out to all of y'all. Make sure you subscribe. Be ready to rock and roll when the Raiders play the Broncos on Sunday.